So if you have led, been part of, or even been close to a major transformational change, you'll know that these are emotional experiences. And if you look on a day-to-day basis, it may seem like those emotions are random, but if you step back from it, you'll see there's a very recognizable pattern that people go through. And understanding that pattern is important. And it's important because emotion clouds or can cloud how we make decisions. And it can impact whether we're making the right or the wrong decisions in terms of our particular transformation or challenge. That's meaningful because we did a survey at Bain of over 300 companies. And we looked at the difference between those who manage the journey well and those who are challenged by it. And those that manage it well deliver twice the value promised as the average overall. So there's immediate payback in terms of the initiative, the transformation that they're going through. But also, if you look long term, you see even greater benefits. Those that do it repeatedly deliver about 8 times the profitability of the other firms and 2.5 times the total shareholder returns. So there's some real value involved in understanding the journey and being able to manage and balance that journey. It's easy for people to assume that the difference between good and bad is good leaders versus bad leaders. But in fact, when we look at it, that's not the differentiating factor. Even good leaders can struggle with change. Because fundamentally, we're dealing with human characteristics, cognitive biases that people have as they're going through this change journey. It's actually the leaders that understand it the best that deliver the best results. Now, when I talk about that pattern, there's really 3 phases to it. Early on, when first the challenge emerges, there's something we have to work on. It's big, it's hairy, it's transformational. That's when people begin to doubt themselves. They have uncertainties. They question whether we can do it and whether we can deliver. They get through that and they begin to see some of the possibilities, and they go into the second phase, which is exuberance and excitement. They're then seduced by the greatness that can be achieved, and they choose the most optimistic of all of the options that are out there. And then the third phase, when they move into execution, there are the inevitable challenges that come up. But they've now gone from the high, and they're beginning to experience those challenges, which pulls them down into a low, which can take the initiative off track, again, some poor decisions being made, and potentially the value not being delivered. We can address or we can balance those emotions in that first phase, bringing some data and facts to the table so they've got material to work with, but also enabling them to see the aspiration, taking them into the future, and enabling to see possibilities, begins to balance out that low. In the second phase, with the exuberance, being sober about the risks, we have a risk model, bringing a risk model for change to the table and saying, yes, and we're going to have to deal with some of these challenges, dampens down that enthusiasm to a real practical place. And then in the third phase, understanding those risks allows us to begin to predict and set expectations so we're not thrown off course when some of those challenges appear. So what we've seen repeatedly is those leaders who understand that emotional journey and know how to have some techniques to deal with it and level it out deliver significant value and significant result.